Hello everyone and welcome to Everything Webflow. Uh, this is a live stream where every Monday through Thursday I go over pretty much everything regarding Webflow. We cover building layouts and websites from the beginning, so from scratch. We cover how to build animations and interactions in Webflow, and I also provide support via super chats if you need help with anything Webflow or any of your personal projects. I also provide support for that. So I'll be taking a more structured approach to these live streams. If you've seen these live streams before, I'll be taking a more structured approach where we're going to do a specific thing every live stream, and then I'll be fielding questions and we'll make it a more interactive discussion after I build something in Webflow. So on today's agenda, so we have the page here, the slide. On today's agenda from 12 to 12:30, we're going to build a hero section with a slider using the Wizardry method. So we've been on that topic since last week. So we're going to continue with it for this week. And yeah, it's just a really interesting method. And we'll see if we'll see if I continue to build every layout this way, but we'll continue for this week. Then from 12:30 to 12:40, I'm going to field any questions about the build in this live stream. And then from 12:40 to 1, we'll just have a general Webflow discussion, and I'll be providing support via super chat. So the general discussion, we can discuss any type of websites. I can provide some free resources that I use to build sites. Yeah, and it can be a lot of fun. So we'll go ahead and start with the hero section we're going to build today. Yes, we're going to build a hero section with a slider, and we'll be using the Wizardry method for our units. So I'll showcase what we're going to build today. So it's this site here, and it's just a hero section with a heading, some paragraph text, 2 buttons, some social media links, and a slider. So pretty straightforward, and this should be a lot of fun. And we're using the Wizardry method. So with the Wizardry method, you can make the website as large or small as you'd like. And this is in the container, so we'll have to add some custom code to make sure it doesn't get larger after a specific max width. All right, so let's get started. So this heading is from this wireframe that I'll be using for a lot of my builds. So this is the wireframe here, or kind of the layout, and I just took this design and built this in Webflow. So I picked my own colors. I got a bit more creative with it, picked my own colors, and added images from unsplash.com. So let's go ahead and get started. So yeah, it's just a heading, a paragraph, 2 buttons, some social media links, and a slider. So I'll start a new project in Webflow. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Actually, what we can do, since we're using the Wizardry method, we can go to his documentation and we'll just clone this project. So all of the headings and the paragraph have specific units already applied, and looks good. All right, I'll just start a new page. So this is the style guide here. I'll just create a new page, and we'll call it, or let's change the name of this page. So I'm just going to call it style guide. Style guide. Then we'll save it, and then I'll create a new page and I'll call this home. And then we'll make this home page, we'll set it to the home page. So here we can click make home your home page, and we'll make it the home page. And let's restyle this now. So style guide, or rename it. Okay, so we have our home page. So I'll go ahead and get started with the hero section. So for this, I'm gonna add an element. I'm gonna add a section, give it the class name section, and I'll set the min height to 100 VH, so it spans the full height of the viewport. And for this section, we'll set the flex setting to the display setting to flex, and I'll say center. So anything I place within the section will be in the center. Hey Manuel, how's it going? Very nice. So Then I'll add a container. So this top section is going to be in a container, and then we'll add a full width slider in the section. So I'll add a div block, and we'll just give it the class name container. So using the Wizardry method, he already applies 10 ems to the padding for the container and 5 ems to the bottom and the top, and there's a max width of 1440. Okay, and also for the section, let me set the background color to 181818, so it's black. And for this build, I'm using this font here is Space Grotesque. If you're not familiar with this website, it's a really great website. It's called typewolf.com, and you can type in /Google Fonts as well. And he just goes over some of the best Google fonts out there or available in Google Fonts. And I highly recommend this if you want to kind of get the best Google fonts for your site. So I saw Space Grotesque and I liked it, so I used it for this build. So let's go ahead and install those fonts. And I also used Inter for the paragraph text. Inter is the closest thing to Helvetica in Google Fonts. There's other fonts that are similar, but I like Helvetica, and Inter is kind of close to that. So let's go ahead into the project, and let's go into the project settings, and let's go into fonts, and I'll go ahead and install those fonts. So Space Grotesque. Here we go. And it is right here. I should get a little bit quicker with finding these. Space, where is it? Okay. You probably already see it here. Here we go. Okay, so there we go. All right. There we go. Space Grotesque, add font, and then we'll add Inter as well. So we'll be having a lot of fun with fonts in these live streams. There's so many interesting combinations you can create with fonts. So we have Space Grotesque and Inter, and then we'll go into the designer, and we'll go ahead and add our headings and everything else. So in the container, let's go ahead and add the heading. So we'll add the heading, and then I'm gonna restyle the all H1 headings tag, the global tag. So if I want to reuse these styles, I just have to re-add headings, and I don't have to add a custom class to every single heading. So for this, we'll just set the color to white. I'm not going to change any of the font sizes. We'll just use the default that Timothy Ricks used in the Wizardry method. So here for the H1 heading, it's 2.7 ems. So we'll use that, and we'll just change the font to Space Grotesque. And then for the container, let's give it a flex setting of flex, and we'll set it to center, just like that. And then for the heading, it's crafting every single pixel with detail. It's a nice heading. Crafting every, did I use capital case? Nope. Every single pixel with detail. And let me put a break here, and we'll just center it there. All right, so yeah, there we have our heading. Let's add the paragraph now. So in the container, I'll hit, I'm going to use Command K on my keyboard to, for the quick find. Rather than going to add elements here and adding the elements this way, you can hit Command K on the keyboard, and it brings up quick find. So here I'll add a paragraph. Then for the container, let me set it to vertical instead of horizontal. And then for this paragraph, I'll rechange the paragraph tag as well, the global tag, and I'll set the font to white and the font type to Inter. And then let me just copy the text from here. We focus on the smallest details to drive big results, not do drive. To drive big results. All right. And yeah, let's center that here in Flex. Okay, then I'll add some margin to the bottom of this heading. So yeah, let's give it the class name hero heading, because when it comes to margins, I do want to apply classes to headings, because some headings, not all headings will have the same margins on different pages. So if I'm adding anything besides font color, font size, yeah, basically, and line height, I apply it to the global class, the global heading class. Anything else like margin and padding, I do want to add a new class to the heading and then adjust it. So we want to adjust margin and paddings in M's. So here I'm going to do 1M. That looks pretty good. All right, so then we have the buttons. So let's go to that. And again, I'm using this wireframe here. And we can kind of look at these as well. So these buttons have a padding of 48 on the left and the right, and a padding of 16 from the bottom and the top. So let's go in here and I'll hit Command K. I'll add a button. And I'm going to give it the class name primary button because it's going to be our primary button. And let's go ahead and style it. So let's give it the padding. So it's 48 padding on the left, or actually because we're using M's, let me just do like 2 M's on the left, 2 M's on the right, 1 M at the top, and 1 M at the bottom. So let me see if that's what I did for these. 3 M's on the left and the right, so it's actually a bit wider. So 3 M's. And if you're not familiar with M's or VWs or anything like that, it's really okay to use pixels. The only reason I'm using M's is because it's part of the Wizardry method. It's this method by Timothy Ricks where he kind of goes over how to make your site fully scalable for larger screens. And he has a nice video on it, and he goes over what units to use for the site. Okay, so there's the button. Now we want to add a border radius. It has a radius of 8. So again, I did reference this Figma file. So in Figma, it tells you what the radius is, the size of the button, the padding. Sometimes I don't follow the exact width and height because the text inside of the button will determine how large the button is. So, I usually just follow the pixels here and the padding for the buttons. Okay, then for the text of the button, I'm going to use enter, and that looks good. And the text here is contact us. All right, and then I'm going to grab the color here. So the color for this, 250, 60, 100. So let me go into the background color for the button. For the hue, it's 250, saturation is 60, and brightness is 100. And you can play with this, you can get the button any color you want, really. But if you have white text, you want some higher contrast. All right, so there we have the primary button. That one's done. And let me add some margin from the bottom of this paragraph. So I'm going to call this hero paragraph. And we're going to add, let's say, 1M of margin, or maybe 2M. There we go. And actually, I'm going to place this button in a wrapper. Hey, what's up, Dylan? How's it going? All right, so I'm going to place this button in a wrapper. So in the container, I'm going to add a div block, and I'll place this button in this div block. And then I'll call this div block button wrapper, and I'll give it a flex of a display setting of flex, horizontal, align, stretch, and justify left. And then I'll just copy and paste this primary button. And that's why I added it in the wrapper, because I wanted these two buttons to be side by side. So I need to add it to a wrapper and then apply a flex setting so that they're horizontally next to each other. Then for this button, I'm going to duplicate this class, and I'm going to call this secondary button. And I'm gonna set this background color to a global class. So here I'm gonna click the plus, and medium slate blue is fine. I'll click create, and then for the secondary button, I'm going to remove this background color, but I'm gonna apply a border of 1 pixel and set the border to that global color. And then for the text, we'll also set it to the global color. And now for the primary button, I'm going to add 1M of padding from the left and 1M of padding from the right. And the same for the secondary button, 1M and 1M. All right, and yeah, I'll just justify center these buttons to make sure they're aligned center. And there we go. We have our buttons. That looks good. And then we have the social media kind of link blocks. Usually, I like to add the actual icons, but I didn't get the icons for this build, so we're just going to add the abbreviations. So Twitter, Dribble, Behance. I'm not sure what LG is. I believe this is LinkedIn. If anybody knows what LG is, just feel free to write in the chat. So yeah, that's kind of what they did in this build here. Just added those text links. All right, so for this, I'm going to add a div block, and I'm going to call this social wrapper, and we're going to place text links in here. So I'll hit Command K, and I'll add a text link, and then I'll call this social text link, and we'll just style this text. So for this, I did space grotesque, and I made the font much larger. So I think I did something like 2 M's. And then, so let's see, we have LI, LG, TW, so LI. Yeah, and let's change the color of the social text. So it's this purple color. And let me see what font size I used. Yeah, so 2 M's, yep. So we have that. And then for the social wrapper, let's set it to flex, horizontal, align, stretch, IG. Oh, yeah, definitely. Thanks, Vince. Appreciate it. That, yeah, makes sense. So we have horizontal, align, justify, left. All right, cool. So I'll just copy this link. And for the social wrapper, why isn't it horizontal? Oh, because I see what I did. We want to copy the social text link, not the social wrapper. And then let's add some margin to the left of the right and right of these social media links. That might be too much. What did I do here? 0.5 M, yep. 0.5 and 0.5. Okay, so we have LinkedIn, IG, not LG, TW, so IG is for Instagram, TW, what's next? Dribble and Behance. All right, so we have that. And let me add some margin from the bottom of these buttons. So I'll say 1M, or let's try 2M. And that looks good. So the next thing we want to do, we have the kind of hero section here. I'm going to add a little bit more margin here from the paragraph. I like that. Yeah, it's looking very similar. So now let's add the slider. So the slider is going to be kind of the bulk of this build. Somebody mentioned they were curious about building a slider. There's many different ways to approach a slider, but I'll just showcase how I did it here. So we can go to the elements panel and add a slider. Okay, and then for the section, let me set it to vertical, the flex setting. So we have the container at the top and we have the slider at the bottom. And I'll give this slider the class name slider, set it to 100% width, and we'll set the height to 17 M's. Okay. And then we have the mask. So the way the slider is built, we have the slider, we have the mask, and then we have the slides inside. So I'm going to start with building the first slide, and I'm going to give it the class name slide. And then within the slide, because I'm going to have 3 images side by side, just like this. And when we scroll, we have 3 more images. So we just have, 3 images shown at once. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to add a div block inside of the slide. So one thing to note about the Webflow slider, you can't apply a flex setting to the slide. So here, if I select the slide and I go to the display setting, it doesn't allow me to set it to flex. So you need to add a div block inside of the slide. And then here I'll just call this slide wrapper. And then I'll set the position to absolute and full. So it fills the entire slide. And now I can apply a flex setting to this slide wrapper. So here I'll say flex, and I'll say horizontal, align, stretch, and justify left. And then in here, I can add a slide. So with the slide wrapper, I'll hit Command K, I'll add a div block, and I'll call this slide. And then because the parent element has a display setting of flex, I can simply click on this button here that says grow if possible, and it'll fill the entire available space within the slider or the slide wrapper. And now all I have to do is copy and paste, and now I have 3 different slides. So we're still in one slide, but now we have 3 different div blocks inside of that one slide. And for each slide, I'm going to give it the border radius of 8, and then I'll go ahead and apply and add a background image to each slide. Okay, so go into here and let me drag and drop the images I downloaded from Unsplash. Okay, so have these images. I resized them so that they're less than 300 kilobytes each. You definitely want to keep your images small. So we have the slide, and I'll go ahead and add the first image. So let's do this one. I'll set it to cover, position it in the center, and I don't need it to be tiled. Okay, then for each consecutive slide, I'm going to add a combo class of 2, go into the slide, and then just choose another image. Then slide 3, just add that combo class, and I'll choose this image. So by applying a combo class to each slide, it allows us to give each slide a unique image. And then if we want to apply properties to all the slides, we want to go to the first slide that doesn't have a combo class, because then it gets applied to every other slide. So here I'll select the slide, and I want to add some margin from the left and the right. So 1em from the, not margin, some padding. Oh wait, no, margin, that was right. 1em of margin from the left and 1em from the right. Okay. So that didn't do much. So let me see if that's what I did here. Oh, I did 1%. Yeah, because for some reason ems wasn't working well when using ems. It didn't work on each slide. So all right, so we have that, and we're having something interesting happen here. So I'm going to select the slider, and I'm going to set the background color to transparent so we don't have any gray showing. And did we do something to the slide wrapper? The slide wrapper seems to have a background image applied. So we have slide. Oh, that's curious. Okay, don't know how that happened, but an image got applied to the slide wrapper. So that's kind of maybe a little glitch in Webflow, or maybe I did something. So let me reset this, or set it to transparent. Oh, that's bizarre. We have a background image here to the slide wrapper. Let me see something. Oh, that's very interesting. Huh. So maybe, did we apply it to the mask? So we have the slide. Oh, yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So let me remove this, and then I want to call this, because I already used that class name. So let me call this slides, yeah, with an S, and that should help. Okay, so let me add an image here, choose image, and we'll do this one, cover, center, and not fixed. All right, I'm gonna have to duplicate this. All right, go into here, duplicate, and call this slide. Okay, delete that, and there we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, we just can't have the slide and the slide inside be the same class name. All right, so that looks good. We added a margin of 1%, and I am happy with that. Okay, so now we can just copy this slide. So I'm gonna hit Command C to copy and paste. And then we have another slide with 3 images. So I'm gonna go into this one, give it a combo class of 4, and choose an image, and choose this one. Then I'll remove this class, and I'll say 5, and I'll choose this image, and then for this one, remove this class, and I'll say 6. And then we'll choose the last image. All right, so just like that, we have a slider with different images, and it looks good. And let me remove some of the the padding here from the container. So I'll say 2 M's, and then maybe 0 M from the top, so we have some more spacing at the bottom. Okay, maybe 4 M. All right, so that looks good. We have our site. We have the slider. I don't need the dots here for the navigation, so I'm just gonna remove it here. All right, and that's it. So we built our slider, and let's go ahead and publish and see how this looks. And we can style the previous and next arrows. So let me go here. We're on a live site. So using the Wizardry method, like, we can resize the site and everything stays responsive. I can make the screen much larger so I can zoom out, and everything gets a lot more responsive. So we do have to add some custom code so these elements don't resize after getting past the max width of the container. All right, so we'll do that in a second. Trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, let's style these left arrows and icon. So for the left arrow, I'm gonna say, give it a class name of left arrow. I'm gonna set the size to 3M by 3M. The width and height, or let's try, oh no, it's 1.3M by 1.3M. Give it a border radius of 8 and a background color of this purple. And then for the left arrow in here, the icon, so I'll say arrow icon, we'll make it like 0.6 M's, just make it a little bit smaller. And then here we'll just say, we'll call this right arrow, and we'll make it 1.3 M's. Yeah, 1.3 M by 1.3 M. We'll give it a border radius of 8, and the background color, we'll set it to purple, and we'll just give this a class name arrow icon. All right, and then let's see what I did here for the margin. Yeah, I said 1 M for the margin from the left, 1 M, and for this, we'll do 1 M. Okay, so we have our slider buttons. That's looking good. And yeah, I think we're done with the build. And then you can link out these text links to different social media, and you're good to go. So let me publish, and that should do it. And then we'll add a piece of custom code from the Wizardry method to make sure that the site doesn't scale after a specific point. Nice, looks good. I'd probably want some more spacing here at the top, so I'm not sure if I'd use a full viewport height section. I might, if I were to do that, I'd make the slider smaller in height, just so we're not so close to the top here. And maybe make these buttons smaller or something like that. But I kind of like that the buttons are so big. It's a nice call to action. So nice. Let's see what else. Yeah, the code from the Wizardry method. So let's go in here. And for the max width, let's set it to 1440. 1440, and I'll just copy this code. Go into Webflow. We'll add an embed. I'll just paste that code in there, save and close, and then we'll publish. Because right now, if you notice, like, as I make the screen larger, the text scales up, but the container stays the same. So we just added that piece of custom code so that if I do make the screen smaller, so as I'm resizing, the text doesn't scale. hopefully that makes sense. So on larger screens, this is what it would look like. It wouldn't scale. The slider would scale, which is fine because it's 100%, but this text wouldn't scale, so we wouldn't have that issue because it's in a container here. And I cover the Wizardry method in a lot more detail in a few previous live streams. But yeah, that's the Wizardry method. Then we can go to tablet and just take a look. So on tablet, the body font size is set to pixels instead of VW. So here I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. So for the section at the top, let's set it to flex and top. And then I'll just add some, for the container, I'll just add 5 M's of padding from the top. That looks good on tablet. Mobile landscape still looks good. Then mobile portrait, we'll just resize the heading, something like that, 2.2 M's. I'll center this text, and we'll make these buttons, or actually for these buttons, for the button wrapper, I'll set to vertical, and then just add some margin to the bottom of the buttons. Hey, what's up, Excellence? How's it going? All right, then the social media looks good. I'd probably replace the slider on tablet, or do something different for this. I wouldn't necessarily have 3 small images like this. I might add another slider so it's only one image shown on mobile. And obviously these buttons would, I'd position them differently. I'd probably have them like at the bottom and just move it down like this. And same for this at the bottom. Oops. At the bottom and move it down. Right. But those images are too small on mobile portrait. Mobile landscape, you might be able to get away with it, but I'd probably do the same thing for mobile landscape and mobile portrait. On tablet, definitely looks good. I like that. And desktop looks nice. All right. And let me do this. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, that's basically it for the build. And I'm happy with that. So, yeah, I did use Wizardry today. So I'm going to use Wizardry for just the rest of this week. So today and tomorrow will be the last days I use Wizardry. Then we'll just go back to, I'll start taking some of the concepts I learned from Wizardry and I'll apply it to builds moving forward, but we won't use the Wizardry method per se. I think I still have to look at that, like if we move back to pixels, but if we do move back to pixels, I'll still be using VW units for like padding and things like that. But if I feel that pixels just becomes a little bit, not outdated, but if it becomes too like a method that I don't want to use anymore because of working with the Wizardry method, I'll start looking at that because, having used it for a week plus now and then going back to pixels, I'll get a good contrast of like which one do I want to use. And it's just the only thing with working with pixels is because, I'm a template developer, so I do work more with pixels and things like that. So that users who just get into Webflow or use a template are not struggling with wrapping their head around M's and Rems and stuff like that. But I still use like VW units in the templates as well. So I don't know. There's a lot to kind of figure out there or to look at. So we'll see if I continue with the Wizardry method next week as well. Great question. Excellent. Cool. Oh, my first name is John. Yeah. I should probably introduce myself in the beginning of the streams. Yeah, I appreciate the, what you mentioned yesterday, Tommy, about, giving the titles more description. So after each live stream, I go through and I'm going to change the titles and description of each video so users know. I'm actually going to be working on styling these videos too, or styling the YouTube thumbnail so it looks a lot nicer. So if you look at my previous live streams, I just took like the default thumbnail that they provided, but I definitely wanted to look nicer for the previous live streams and have more of a description so anyone getting in can understand what we're talking about in the live stream. Cool. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. And so we built the hero section. Yeah, so now it's just a Q&A of the recent build. So that's where we are now. Using these slides as well, I'm going to add like in the video, I'm going to separate each section so users have an easier time finding the content that I talked about in each live stream. So just trying to structure the live streams a lot better, because I think this is useful content not only in the live stream, but anyone looking for content on Webflow in general, they'll be able to easily find it, from these live streams. Cool. So yeah, this is the layout we just built. So again, we're just going through these different wireframes and just building them out in Webflow, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, Q&A time. Yeah, shoot. Thanks for your commitment, John. Much appreciated, for sure. So Dylan wrote, when you scroll on that page slightly, it's the gray grid e-commerce section. Oh, so Dylan, if you posted a link, the links don't show up in the chat. Yeah, so you have to write the link with like spaces to make sure it shows up. So Excellence wrote, been wondering if there's a native unit that scales naturally the way Wizardry does. Sans VW, it's messy working down from the size of the viewport for font plus stuff. Yeah, I say the Wizardry method kind of hit it on the nail type of thing with the way they did it, the way Timothy did it. Like he applied the VW. So the Wizardry method, the way it works is we apply to the body all pages tag, we apply 1 VW for the font size. And then when we use ems, we're using this 1 VW as a multiplier or as a reference. So when we use ems, we're actually using VW. And when we use ems for the font size, we're using VW. Yeah, so yeah, actually everything is in VW, but we're just using ems to reference the body VW unit. All right, so it was webflow.com/ecommerce. So let's take a look at that. And what was the question, Dylan? Can we do a build like this? Yeah. Yeah, this is a cool build for sure. I mean, this would take quite some time to build exactly this, but if you want to drop a super chat, Dylan, then I can build one section of this. I won't go through and build all of this, but like if there's a particular section you want me to build, maybe it's this image doing this thing here. Is this an image? That's very cool. Yeah, it is. So this is probably a grid of images inside of a wrapper. And then there's a 3D transform or, 3D perspective applied to this. And as it rotates, some of these elements are popping out. The whole thing rotates and some of these elements pop up like this. Yeah, good point. Excellence, when you work down, just change the body all tags on tablet to 16. Yep, and that's what Timothy did for this method. So here on tablet, it's actually the body is set to 14 pixels, not VW. So now we're using pixels for the tablet and mobile versions of the site. Very cool. So yeah, sounds good, Dylan. So this is more of a specified request. So if you do want to drop a super chat, feel free, and we can cover this in tomorrow's live stream. It would take me a moment to just, I would build it out before the live stream, and then we would cover it. This is a video. This looks like a video here on the right. And yeah, this is just, a div, and then it moves up. Same with this. Yep. This looks like a GIF maybe. Yeah. Looks good. There's a lot of on-scroll animation on this too. All right. I didn't bring any water with me today, so I'll have to drink some afterward. Cool. In the large image, okay, it's, oh, sorry. I wasn't reading the chat, Dylan. The first big image, in the large image, it's a small picture of a gray grid. In the large image, the first big image, in the large image, it's a small picture of a gray grid. And not the whole thing. It's the large image, it's a small picture of a gray grid. Do you mean this? That says fly? Can you tell me by the subtitle of the section? So just, go to the subtitle. Is it designed around your unique products? Customize your cart and checkout? Or which subheading is it under? Regarding the slider you have just built, how would you change the number of images on smaller screens? That's a good question, Manuel. Trying to see if there's a way to do that. Yeah, the only way I can think of doing this. This is kind of a workaround, but what I would do is I would hide the first and third slide on mobile, and then also for these slides. So let me set it back to display block, and I would hide, oh wait, no, sorry. This next slide, I would hide the last two here. And then I would copy and paste these slides multiple times. And let's see if, yeah, so that stays intact. So then on desktop, I would give these a combo class. So I would say 3, so this is slide 3. Then I would, oh, I can't. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's a bummer. So, yeah. The way I would do it, Manuel, is probably just add a new slider for mobile. Because the way we have it set up here, there's 3 slides in each in each slide. There's 3 different images, unless you just wanted 2 images, right? So maybe just on mobile you could just show 2 images like that, so it's it's a larger image. But yeah, that's one way to do it. Yeah, because if we showed all the images, it wouldn't look good, because it's really thin. All right, probably just a Lottie using JSON and then animating Lottie on scroll. The one with fly, okay. Oh, the one with fly, okay. So let me take a look. Yeah, for this, it's actually, yeah, it is really a workaround for sure. All right. Oh, I didn't see the question before. Just taking a look here. Yeah, so Dylan, if you're referring to Just before I send the super chat, bro, I wanted to make sure we are looking at the same thing. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. The one with fly. So you basically just want to recreate these images moving up as we scroll. That's actually, yeah, I'd be happy to showcase that. That would not be a problem. And yeah, let me just make sure we're on the same page here. That's the thing with chat. You can't always, it's just text. So trying to understand. Cool. All right. So yeah. So let's go on to the next section, which is general discussion and super chats. So we're basically there. So let's just open it up because I don't think there was any questions regarding this last build I just did. Let's pick the build for tomorrow. So tomorrow, this one looks fun. So this might be a full viewport. This one would be really fun to build with the Wizardry method. So yeah, this could be a lot of fun. This could be fun to put different images in these different sections and kind of build out this hero section. So for this, I don't know if I'd use a container. We'll just use a 100% viewport with the padding on the viewport, and we'll just create this really cool heading. Nope, just a grid that says fly, not the whole image. No, that's super easy. Yeah, I can show that in like 5 minutes or 10. That's using, you can do Flexbox for that, grid, pretty much anything. So if you want me to showcase how to build that, just, yeah, let me know. And we'll build out something exactly like that. We'll use the lines, I'll find images of shirts and hats, and we can definitely do that. Nice. Yeah, so I just kind of picked this one right away. So this will be tomorrow's build, and I'll pick some colors from coolers. I'll pick a color palette, and I'll pick a font, and we'll build this out. Oops. Yeah, there we go. All right, so today, yeah, we built this, and nice. So I'll give a few more minutes. If there's no questions, we can end the live stream earlier. But yeah, if you're new to these live streams, I do these every Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, 12 to 1 p.m. Central. I have to build an intranet. Any suggestions? Can you clarify around that? Like, that seems a bit more involved than just design. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to share your project with multiple team members, Webflow does have a team plan. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it's the one, yeah, I think I did it 2 streams ago, or was it even yesterday, where I built out the new morphism. Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit simple, DeMarco. Like, I'll just cover it because it is just so it is a very simple build. So like, we'll just create a new page, and for this build, like, yeah, it's a heading. So yeah, there's just add a div block. So let's start with a section. I'm not even going to set it to 100 VH. Then I would add a div block. I would call this top heading, then give it a border of black, add a text block. So I'm going fast here because we'll just say fly here, and we'll center this text. I'm not using kind of best practices at the moment, just want to quickly showcase how to build this. And we'll say space grotesque, and we'll make the font 10 ems, about 5 ems, and make it bold. All right, so we have that. So actually, for the border on this top heading, we will select the bottom and set it to 0. Top heading, 111. Okay. And then in the section, we'll add another div block, and this will be product wrapper. So actually, I would go more in depth because it's an e-commerce site. So I'd probably go more in depth into how to add a products collection list and then style it to look like that. But for now, it's just a quick layout I'm building here. So we have the product wrapper. So, I would just set it to grid. And then for the columns, I would add 3 columns and 1 row. And there we go. And then you can add a div block into each section. And then for the div block, I would give it a border. Yeah, just a 1 pixel border. And then I would add an image inside of each div block, something like this. So yeah, thanks for the super chat, Dylan. I'll cover this in more detail tomorrow, and I'll just reproduce that fly example so we can build it out exactly. But I'm just trying to give an overview of how this could be built. So for the image, let me do 300 by 300, set it to cover. Okay, and for this grid cell, let's just center it. And actually, I want to add a div block inside of this grid. Oh, I did. Okay. So div block, this is what we want to add the border to. There we go. And div block. Yeah, let me set this to flex. There we go. And I would just add some padding, something like this. Yeah, I'm going very fast here. Then for the grid, we'll just remove this, the gap, and I'll just duplicate this. Cool. And then we can just replace the image. So yeah, and then this is tricky with the borders. So it's actually an interesting build because with borders, when you have 2 borders next to each other, it creates a thicker border in the middle. So I would give this div block a combo class of 2. And then for the left border, just set it to 0. Same with this one, give it a combo class of, we'll say 2. And it just removes the left border on the other ones. So that's how I would approach that layout. You could also use Flexbox. Flexbox would be just as easy. So in tomorrow's live stream, I'll showcase how to build using Flexbox. And if you build it tomorrow, can we build it on my page, or is that too cheeky? No, I would have to build it in my account here. I wouldn't necessarily go into your account and build it for your site, but I'll just start a new project and then I'll make it shareable and then just send it over, and you can see what I did within the project. Like, you can see the entire layout in the navigator and all that good stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, let's publish it. Yeah, and then on tablet, for the grid, we could just make it 1 column. For the product wrapper, just remove the column. So we'll make it 1 column. And then that's like that. And we'd change the border here. So for here, I would add the border back to the left and remove the border from the top. Yeah, something like that. Those lines do make the layout look nice. I like it. So publish, and we'll preview. And boom. So then, yeah, instead of having these images, you could have images of products. So yeah, that's basically it. Using the border. The main takeaway from that is like making sure you don't have duplicate borders next to each other, because that throws off the design, right? So you want to go into like these two and remove the left border because it's already being applied from each of these have right borders. So when you put them next to each other, you don't want them to have double borders there, which is a nice little technique to know about. But yeah, that was a good question, Dylan. We'll cover it more tomorrow. Regarding the slider responsiveness, I tried something. If you have only one image per slide and then change the width of the slides to 33%, you still have 3 images at once. You make it look so easy. Yeah, Dylan, I'll cover it a bit more slowly tomorrow, or like not so quickly, but I just wanted to showcase like that it can be done, using grid and things like that. If you only have one image per slide and then change the width of the slides to 33%, you still have 3 images at once. Yeah, that's a good point, Manuel, but it throws off the looping of the slide. So let's go and try that out. That's a style guide. So what Manuel is saying here is for the slide, for each slide, we set it to 33%, and then we only have one slide. So let me just hide these. We only have one slide in each slide. I believe this is what he's saying. Right, so we have it at 33%, then I can copy another one. So we have 3 slides, and they're all at 33%. So what I want to do basically is have 6 slides, and let's just see what that looks like. So I go to the next one, and yeah, it actually, wait. Yeah, no, that works well. And then you can go into here and set it to 100%. Oh, great thinking, Manuel. Yep, awesome. So yeah, I was not totally accurate with that. So thank you, Manuel. You just made a very good point. So now we can, for each of these slides, so slide 3, I can go in and let me just give it the combo class. This slide, I'll say, we'll just say 2. Wait, slides. Oh wait, slide, I want to go into here. Yeah, so that would work well. I'm not going to go through and change all the images, but the way Manuel just did it, or mentioned, you could make the slider easily responsive on different devices. So on desktop, you'd have 3 images sliding, and then on tablet, you'd only have 1, and mobile landscape, only 1, and then we'd have to adjust this as well. So for the slide, we would say, oh, it's 100%. Yeah, so we'd just hide these on mobile, and we'd hide 5 and 6. Very cool. Great thinking, Noah. Awesome. So yeah, now we just have 1 image for the slide and 3 for the desktop. Very nice. Okay, so it's 1 o'clock. Thanks everyone for watching. That is the end of the live stream, and doesn't look like there's any more questions, so I'll go ahead and end it. And awesome. So Dylan, appreciate the super chat. We'll cover this tomorrow in more detail, and we'll have fun with it. So we'll do e-commerce actually, because it looks like you want to do something with e-commerce. I did do a live stream on e-commerce if you want to check that out, but I'll quickly build an e-commerce site with that layout, and should be fun. Then for the smaller screens, you can set the slide width to 50% for 2 images, and then 100% for 1 image. Yeah, even better, Manuel. So here he's saying like setting the slider to, or the slide to 50%. So we have 2 slides instead of 3, instead of 1. And then here we would set it to 100%. Bam. Awesome thinking. Sweet. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. Definitely spread the word about these live streams. I'm definitely going to bring more structure to them. I'll be designing some new YouTube thumbnails for the live streams. And then so essentially I'm going to use the main build for the day as the live stream, as the YouTube thumbnail with a little bit more design. And that'll give users looking at Webflow content kind of a better idea on how to find more Webflow information. So the e-commerce was, I'll find it really quick. And actually, we can go to webdevforyou.com. Yeah, so if you go to webdevforyou.com and then go to the super chat and scroll down to here, it's this one here, building an e-commerce site in Webflow. And you can kind of just watch this and get an idea how to build an e-commerce site. All right. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Today was live stream, September 29th, 2021. And appreciate everyone for joining. And yeah, spread the word. And I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll build this hero section. And we'll still use the Wizardry method. And then I'll go over Dylan's request on building an e-commerce product layout. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you.